What's up guys, today we're going to be comparing the all-new Mavic 2 Pro to my current drone, the Phantom 4 Pro, to help you decide which series you should invest in. And the reason we're comparing my Mavic to the Phantom instead of the Mavic to the other Mavic series is because this new Mavic 2 Pro would beat all the other Mavics in pretty much every category, so it's not much of a comparison. And the reason I bought the Mavic 2 Pro over the Mavic Zoom is because it has the much larger sensor size and overall better image quality. Now, quick note, DJI does not pay me to make any of these comparisons. I purchased both of these drones with my own money, so there's no bias, just giving you my honest thoughts. But let's go ahead and dive right into the comparison. First off is the price. Like I mentioned, these are pretty close in price. The Mavic is slightly less expensive than the Phantom, but I have the Phantom that comes with the built-in screen, which makes it about $300 more expensive, so Mavic wins on price. Next up is weight and size. The Mavic weighs in at 2 pounds and the Phantom at 3 pounds. They both have about the same footprint, but the Mavic is about 2 times shorter. So Mavic wins at being more portable, as it can be folded up and fit in a smaller bag than the Phantom 4, which makes it much more travel friendly. And speaking of travel friendly, which one has a faster setup time? I actually tested out both, from taking them out of the bag and getting them up into the air flying, and the Mavic 2 Pro took 1 minute and 13 seconds and the Phantom 4 Pro took 1 minute and 10 seconds. Now this was subject to my speed, so I'm not going to declare a winner because I didn't feel like either was quicker than the other. Both are very quick to get set up and in the air. Next question I got was difference in focal length. The Phantom has a focal length of 24mm, whereas the Mavic is slightly tighter at 28mm, so they're just different. Plus, the Mavic also has a setting called 4K HQ, which gives you an even tighter focal length around 40mm. So no winner necessarily, just differences in focal length. Let's now talk about performance. Flight time. The Phantom gives you 30 minutes per battery and the Mavic gives you 31 minutes per battery. So a slight win for the Mavic, but not by much. Next test is top speed. They both claim to go 45 miles per hour, so no advantage either way there. Distance range. The Mavic has a slight advantage here, claiming 8 kilometers control range, whereas the Phantom claims only 7 kilometers. Next test was obstacle avoidance. After testing both drones out, they both seem to do a great job avoiding obstacles. However, the Mavic 2 Pro seemed to have a little bit better and newer tech. I could catch the Phantom with my hand, but the Mavic wouldn't allow me to because it was sensing my arm, so I'd give a slight advantage to the Mavic, but they both do a great job. Keep in mind though, I have crashed my Phantom 4 Pro into several trees on several occasions, so don't depend on these sensors because they aren't perfect. Next test is wind resistance. They're both rated at 23 miles per hour wind resistance, so as far as being able to function in the wind, they both do a great job. But because the Mavic is a little bit lighter, it does get thrown around a little bit more in the wind, especially while doing slow moving shots like a hyperlapse, so I'd have to give a slight advantage to the Phantom, but again, not much. Next test is tracking features. The Mavic 2 Pro has the new Active Track 2.0 versus version 1 on the Phantom, so it has improved its tracking ability, and I've actually never tried the tracking features until this comparison, but I was super impressed with the Active Track 2.0 as it kept me perfectly in the center of the frame and did a 360 around me while I just held down the joystick to the side. The Mavic also has 3 different modes: trace mode, profile mode, and spotlight mode. Spotlight being my favorite, as I can keep the subject in the center of the frame while moving the drone freely, which allows for some awesome parallax movements. So Mavic wins here with the newer Active Track system. Next question I got was, is the 120 frame per second quality usable? After trying both of them out, I would say that neither are very good. I wouldn't recommend shooting at 1080p on either of these drones. It's just really soft, so unless you absolutely need that 120 frame per second, I'd recommend sticking to 4K. Next question was ease of use and learning curve. They both seemed about the same as far as taking it out of the box and figuring out how to get it up in the air flying. They are both going to take a lot of practice to get smooth buttery shots and to learn how to control its movements, but that having been said, they are both very beginner friendly and anyone could pick it up and operate one decently within a short period of time. I will give the Mavic a slight advantage here though, because it does have those better tracking abilities, which are great features for beginners to use if they don't feel comfortable yet getting precise shots with manual controls. Next comparison is the controller functionality. I have to give this one to the Phantom because I like having the built-in screen better than having to use my phone with the Mavic 2 controller. I just think it's a hassle, plus it drains your phone battery super fast. When we started shooting this test footage of the two drones, I had about 60% battery left on my iPhone, and after about 3 hours of shooting, it was dead. So that was a big inconvenience to me. Next test is build quality and durability. Overall, the Phantom feels stronger and less like a toy. Like I've mentioned, I've crashed my Phantom 4 a few times and he's still going strong. I'm not gonna crash the Mavic to test it, but I'm sure it would also hold up to some normal wear and tear. So they're both very well built. The Phantom just feels a little more rugged, as it should be since it is a pound heavier. Next test was the propeller noise levels. I tested out the decibel levels of both drones standing just a few feet away, and the Mavic clocked in around 70 dB and the Phantom 4 Pro about 80 dB. But my Phantom 4 Pro isn't the 2.0 version, which claims to be 4 decibels quieter than mine. However, the Mavic is still pretty loud. Neither of them are discreet by any means and will definitely make a scene wherever you fly your drone, so don't be fooled thinking that it's super quiet. It's just a little quieter. Internal storage. The Mavic comes with 8 gigabytes of internal storage, which is awesome for those moments when you forget to take your SD card out of your computer, which I have done on many occasions, whereas the Phantom 4 has no internal storage, so the Mavic wins there. Hyperlapse features. This is another thing that the Phantom 4 Pro does not have that is new in the Mavic that I actually think is pretty cool and I could see myself using a lot. However, I did notice that unless there's no wind, it is shakier than I thought it would be, so I don't think you could use this feature unless you had ideal weather conditions, so just be aware of that. But let's now compare what I think is the most important test, and that is overall video image quality. First up is resolution and frame rate. They both shoot at 4K, but the Mavic only does 4K up to 30 frames per second, whereas the Phantom can do 4K up to 60 frames per second. So the Phantom is the clear winner here. I wouldn't say this is a deal breaker though, unless you shoot a lot of slow-mo, because I find that when I shoot at 60 frames, I usually end up speeding it back up in post anyway, because drone shots already look pretty slow. Next comparison is color depth. The Mavic sports 10-bit color versus 8-bit color on the Phantom, so Mavic wins here, giving you a lot more color information to work with, and this really makes a difference when shooting in D-Log. I've never used the D-Log on my Phantom 4 Pro because when you apply a heavy color grade to the image, it would just fall apart, giving you lots of noise and artifacting. But as you can see here, the Mavic holds up much better to the same heavy color grades and reproduces overall better colors. So the Mavic wins here, having much better color gradability in D-Log, plus it has a new HDR profile that the Phantom doesn't have. Next question is, which one has better straight out of camera colors? For those who don't want to spend a lot of time color grading, they just want great colors straight out of camera, when you shoot in the normal color mode on each, I'd have to say that I do like the Phantom 4 Pro colors a little bit better. The colors seemed a little bit richer overall, and the Mavic's Hasselblad sensor seemed to give an overall warmer tone. I had both of these cameras set manually to 5600 Kelvin, which should make your whites look white in daylight, yet the Mavic was looking a little warm, so just be aware you'll have to bring your temperature down a little more on the Mavic. So personally, I think the colors look a little bit more accurate on the Phantom in normal color mode, but that's more of an opinion to me. They both have great straight out of camera colors. Next test was the low light performance. I pushed both drones to 1600 ISO, and the Phantom 4 Pro shows slightly less noise than the Mavic. The Phantom can actually go all the way up to 6400 ISO, whereas the Mavic maxes out at 1600 ISO. However, as you can see here, when the Phantom is at 6400 ISO, it's really not usable, so 1600 is about as far as I'd go. So overall image quality, which one is better? They're just different. Each have advantages over the other, just depends on which features are most important to you. I'm sure you'll be happy with either one, both great images. Okay, now for my final thoughts, which drone overall is better? According to the scoreboard, based off of your questions, the Mavic wins in more categories than the Phantom, but which one would I personally buy if I didn't own either? I'd have to say overall the Mavic 2 Pro is the better choice. It's slightly cheaper, it's smaller, it's quieter, it's got that 10-bit color for better gradability, and it's just newer tech, so it's got some great new features. Now, what if you already own one of the other Mavics, like the Mavic Pro or Mavic Air? Is it worth upgrading to the Mavic 2 Pro? If you're looking for a more professional image quality, I'd say absolutely yes. The difference that this 1-inch sensor and the 10-bit color makes is enough on its own to upgrade, in my opinion. But what if you already own the Phantom 4 Pro? Is it worth side grading to the Mavic 2 Pro? I don't think so on this one. I don't think there's enough difference between these two as far as image quality goes and features for me to encourage somebody to buy a whole new drone, unless you just absolutely need the 10-bit color or the better portability. Otherwise, Phantom 4 Pro owners, I'd say just wait for the Phantom 5 to come out. I'm sure it's going to be a big upgrade over both of these. So there you have it, guys. DJI slays it once again with this new Mavic 2 Pro. Also, if you'd like to see more helpful gear comparisons like this and learn my full shooting and editing process in a wide variety of industries, you can join our online film school at fulltimefilmmaker.com or check out my free 1-hour filmmaking training by clicking over here, where I reveal my top 10 secrets to achieving cinematic shots along with my 6 steps to making money with video. But that's it for me. hope you guys enjoyed. Don't forget to subscribe for more content just like this. And if you have any further questions, please let me know.